It's a powerful thing to elect a president because we elect an era with him or her, and that becomes our time, the time in which we live. It surrounds us. It's not just something in Washington. We're joined right now to talk about that by Clarence Page of the Chicago Tribune. Julian Bond is chairman of the NAACP, and Jeff Johnson, here with me in New York, is with BET. I want to go to Julian Bond, who's been such a figure so many years of my life, going back to the 1968 Democratic Convention when your name was put in nomination for vice president, sir. Do you remember that? I remember that. Here we are,
very much so,
on the edge, on the cusp of a new era. I want you to tell me your feelings about the era in which we're entering, the era of Obama.
You know, when Senator Obama began, I think I was like a lot of people and thought he was an admirable person, but he couldn't possibly go all the way. It just couldn't happen that a black man could not come this far. And it's only after he won a few primaries and Iowa gave him the seal of approval that I think many people, myself included, began to think this is possible. Honestly, it's not something I had considered possible ever before. I'm so happy to have been proven wrong. This was a great, great day yesterday, a great day for him, a great day for Democrats, a great day really for the whole country. And I think for the whole world. You look at the response we're getting from people all over the globe about what a great step forward we've taken. This is really a validation of the American dream.
Clarence Page, my pal, what are we stepping into? What era are we stepping toward? Can we tell yet, or do we have to just anticipate at this point?
I'm always ready to assess the era, Chris. And by the way, thank you very much for the honor of letting me sit here next to Julian Bond. I remember very well when his name was put into nomination there. I was a young newspaper intern, the first African-American reporter on the paper where I was working, and I had that job a lot in those days. We've come a long way. I think if people talk about Barack Obama transcending race or this being a post-racial era, I think we got to say it's a multiracial era. I think we have to look at race in a different kind of way now. Our racial problems are not behind us, but they take on a different hue when people like my 19-year-old son and other young people I talk to are now speaking admirably of, be like Barack rather than, be like Michael Jordan or be like Jay-Z. We're entering a new era, and like I always tell my kid, no, this is your century. I'm just walking around in it. But I think Barack Obama has really opened up a new era and a new dialogue.
Jeff.
I want to build a little bit on what Clarence is saying. I mean, I think I agree that this is going to be the era of the global U.S. president. I mean, I don't think we've seen a time like this since we saw the release and subsequent election of Nelson Mandela, when you've got 80% approval rating abroad of a U.S. president and somebody that's got the ability to spark the imagination of an entire world, not just those who he's been elected to govern. That's something that we don't see very often.
You know, a part of this, Julian, you remember this, and so Clarence as well, that sort of crisp, thin tie, 50-mile hike, new frontier, not the Camelot of the colorized version that came later after Dallas, but the reality of it, the tough politics and getting things done when government was cool, when public service was admirable and desirable. I sense that's coming with Barack Obama. I sense something very crisp and very disciplined is coming, like his campaign. Clarence, you first. The sense of this campaign as a advertisement, if you will, of what's to come for the next 4 or 8 years.
Well, I think, first of all, I'm very impressed by the international folks. I've done a number of interviews with international media, and the international signal that Barack Obama has projected presents the kind of America that we Americans like to think this country is all about. Right. And there's certainly the idea that he has brought in a clean slate and a fresh breeze. He has played by the rules and mastered those rules. The strategy was brilliant. It worked out. He got a couple lucky breaks, took full advantage of them, a couple bad breaks too. But the fact is that there is now a sense that that the opportunity is there if you take it. But he's got a tough road ahead. I mean, this is hardly there can hardly be a worse time to be taking the reins of power in the country right now.
Joey, and I have the sense we're not going to have any Monicas and we're not going to have any Katrinas. We're not going to have distractions. I'm very confident, this is a nonpartisan assessment, I'm very confident about this guy's ability to keep us on track in a direction that matters.
Oh, yeah, I think if you look back at the past elections, the last time young people got engaged was when they got clean for Gene, when Gene McCarthy ran for president. The last time black people got disengaged was when Jesse Jackson made his 2 races for the presidency. And Jackson's races, while unsuccessful, created a cadre of black political people who ran for office, for mayor, for city council, for all kinds of jobs, and won those jobs and are serving today and serving well. I think Obama's going to have a similar but different effect. He's going to inspire a lot of people to say, you know, I could be on the city council, I could be on my school board. And they won't just be black people. There'll be all sorts of people. There'll be women, there'll be men, there'll be Asians, there'll be Hispanics. There'll be a new cadre of younger people who say, I can do it too. He did it, and I can do it too.
Here he is talking about that ability to inspire that this campaign has already demonstrated with this older woman who made a point of voting. Let's take a look at this, I think, inspiring moment last night.
Ann Nixon Cooper is 106 years old. She was born just a generation past slavery, a time when there were no cars on the road or planes in the sky, when someone like her couldn't vote for 2 reasons: because she was a woman and because of the color of her skin. And tonight, I think about all that she's seen throughout her century in America: the heartache and the hope, the struggle and the progress, the times we were told that we can't, and the people who pressed on with that American creed, yes, we can. She was there for the buses in Montgomery, the hoses in Birmingham, a bridge in Selma, and a preacher from Atlanta who told the people that we shall overcome, yes, we can. Bye.
Yeah, I mean, Chris, what's really powerful about this is we're looking at a candidate who's got the ability to attract an 106-year-old and an 18-year-old. And from an really not even from an African-American perspective, but from an American culture perspective, here's somebody that for the first time represents the best of multiple generations. Obama is this fusion, perfect storm of hip-hop and civil rights. He looks at what the best of civil rights is. I've got to be better than everybody else. I have to be articulate. I have to be intellectual, but he's got this confidence and swagger and ability to keep his calm and be cool in the midst of a storm going on around him. I think that's why he's one of the first leaders I've seen in my generation who's got the ability to attract those that are 106 and those that are 16.
Well, that's, I guess, the question, Clarence, I put to you, and that is the call to public service. Since Ronald Reagan was elected, he made the case that the public service wasn't that important. Government is not the solution. Government's the problem. Let's have less taxes, less government, less regulation. Let's leave town, basically. Let's dismantle the Great Society. Let's dismantle the New Deal if we can. And let's just cut taxes and deregulate. And now we've realized that ain't going to work. Do you think the public's ready for a strong call to public action and public service?
Well, yeah, government's always a pain in the neck until you need government, and even Sarah Palin was both attacking government and saying, where's government now that we need them on Wall Street? The fact is, I think Barack Obama has issued a call to service, and he mentioned the other S word, sacrifice, during his speech last night, and that in itself showed he's ready to be a true leader, to talk about, hey, the land of milk and honey is not here. We're going to have to get together and work. It's going to be a tough struggle. The fight isn't over with the end of the campaign. I think he's ready to really launch a national movement in the way that Chicago Mayor Harold Washington did in Chicago, to form a movement there in that city that helped him to fight what was left of the Democratic machine in City Council. Now Barack Obama's going to have some power to try to get what he wants out of Capitol Hill.
Okay, to be continued. It's great. We'd like to have all three of you back on this very topic of what this means to America as large. It seems to me that this is hard to fully absorb yet, the big change that's coming in America in terms of ethnicity, diversity, bipartisanship, and youth, all being promised by this new administration. By the way, I got it on the inside. He really does want it to be bipartisan. He really doesn't want it. He really wants it to be diverse, and he really does not want to have retreads running the government. Thank you very much, Clarence Page of the Chicago Tribune, Julian Bond, chairman of the NAACP, and Jeff Johnson of BET.